All right, it's that time of week again. That means that I'm answering questions. So if you're new to this channel or you haven't seen one of these videos before, what I do is I take the most, what I think are thought-provoking or just interesting questions from the previous week's videos, and I answer them here in a video that's published on YouTube. I figure this is a great way for me to be able to give back to my community, but also just answer questions that pose interesting thought and interesting discussion. Because I don't know, if we're gonna be on this channel, it's gotta be a community. We can't just be dishing out information and not expect a discussion. So anyway, you're tuned into the internet's leading performance, nutrition, and fat loss channel. So new videos all the time, pretty much every single day nowadays. So I'm gonna go through the list of videos from last week. I'll explain a brief kind of synopsis of the video and then get into the top comments. And by the way, no disrespect or offense if I didn't answer your question. We get hundreds of them. I try to rotate through them as best I can. First question comes from a video that was called, "Can anything sweet like gum affect fasting or keto?" This was about the sweet taste response on insulin. Like, some people say that the moment you have an artificial sweetener, like drink a Diet Coke or chew some gum, it triggers an insulin response. Well, what this video ultimately concluded was that it differs from person to person. We looked at the studies, and quite honestly, it's fascinating and it's totally interesting stuff. So I encourage you to go check that video out if you haven't already. But anyway, the first question. CutieQueen Glamke says, "So is gum okay or not? I can't go around with funky breath in a fasted state." Okay, so here's the thing. Again, we don't really know. It depends on the person. Gum, generally speaking, won't break a fast. By my standards, I usually say it's okay. But it might cause a little bit of an insulin response. And if it does, then yeah, technically that insulin spike is breaking your fast as far as the metabolic effects go. I mean, it might actually trigger insulin, which therefore stops your fast. But I think it's to such a small degree that, in my honest opinion, I think you're fine to keep chewing gum. But the real answer is you have to find out if it works for you. Go for a few days without chewing gum when you're fasting and see if you actually notice a result. I notice when I have an insulin spike during my fast, I don't wake up as lean the next day. I don't wake up as clean and dry. I have more water retention. I actually notice it. So I would encourage you to take some days where you can have funky breath and don't chew gum, and use those as your days where you get a little bit more of an extreme fast. Next question comes from David M. He says, "What about brushing teeth and mouthwash?" Again, same kind of thing. So brushing your teeth, usually there is some kind of xylitol or something in there that could trigger an insulin response. So if you are one of those that has an insulin response to a sweet taste, then yeah, that could do it. Problem with toothpaste is there's other compounds in there that definitely get swallowed. Okay, definitely some things that have technically a little bit of a caloric value. So you gotta be a little bit careful with toothpaste. Mouthwash, you can get by with mouthwash a little bit easier. It's less likely to swallow some, but a lot of times mouthwash has alcohol, which will definitely break a fast and absorb through the membrane inside your mouth. So mouthwash is a little bit more tough. MamaMina 009 says, "Thomas, does lemon water break a fast?" I've actually done a video on this talking about this topic where I've explained it inside of a video where I talked on a few different things. But lemon water, by my standards, doesn't break a fast for metabolic purposes, but for autophagy purposes, it does kind of break a fast. But I think the effects of flushing out the uric acid and the other effects you get from lemon, like the pectin, far supersede the negative aspects of having that 1 or 2 calories come in. ElMonkeySupaFreek says, "Does vaping affect ketosis or IF?" So vaping, usually it's glycerin-based, sometimes it's a different compound. I would honestly say, yeah, you're disrupting your fast. You're causing a pretty significant metabolic response because the nicotine, everything like that that's affecting neurotransmitters and other things at the cellular level, it's throwing things off. It's really no different than having some alcohol. Just because it's not going into your actual stomach and you don't have calories coming in, I think it could kind of affect it. But again, same kind of advice for you like I did for the gum gal. You want to try it without vaping 1 or 2 days. Make it a challenge, make it fun, embrace it. Then Deadpool says, "I eat 30 grams of peanut butter daily on keto. Will that trigger an insulin response?" Yeah, it will. It's definitely, any food's gonna trigger an insulin response, but 30 grams of peanut butter, if it's unsweetened, shouldn't be too big of a deal. Me4u2c says, "Love the videos, Thomas. I need clarity. In previous videos, you said that stevia won't break a fast, but also said dextrose will. Stevia in the raw has dextrose. I'm still confused. Please help because I may think I'm fasting and I'm actually breaking it. Dextrose will mess you up. Yep, I always say go for a liquid sweetener. Go for liquid stevia, go for liquid monk fruit, anything like that. It's a much safer bet." Next video was, "Are you caffeine sensitive? Coffee and your genetics." So this was not talking about tolerance, this was talking about sensitivity. Some people can have a cup of coffee and be wired, and some people can have a cup of coffee and need 6 more to actually get through the day. So it's all about sensitivity. Caffeine affects us differently based on different genes. Ryan Rocker says, how much do epigenetics affect one's caffeine sensitivity? Don't worry, Thomas. I don't really expect you to know. Would be nice to know how to mess with genetics, though. Yeah, I included this even though there is no real answer because it's interesting. Like, genetics really can play a role, and epigenetics can play a bigger role. Like, if we can tweak our genetics through doing different things, through kinds of meditation and different thoughts and everything like that, I think it'd be pretty interesting. I'd be curious to see what happens in the future with this. So we'll start looking into it. I mean, epigenetics is a very interesting thing. There's all kinds of different people you can follow for that. I've done an interview with Bruce Lipton before on his channel, which I thought was very interesting. He's kind of the king of epigenetics. But Joshua Salazar says, caffeine literally has no effect on me. Is that bad? I don't think it's bad. I mean, if you are not actually having that adenosine response, then it's really not doing anything for you. You're getting the polyphenols. So, I mean, the question is, do you really want to drink it? Do you like the taste of it? If you like the taste of it, go for it. But otherwise, if it's not doing you any good, then you can probably get just as strong of a polyphenol response from some cacao or something. Romario Henrique says, hey, Thomas, is grapeseed flour okay to have on keto? In small amounts, yes. Not the biggest fan of grapeseed flour, but yeah, it's okay. Miss Denham says, I used to drink caffeine right before bed, no problem. It didn't really affect me. I turned 40 and now I can't tolerate it. My heart pounds, I'm dizzy, sweat, etc. What the heck? Anyone else have this problem? A lot of people have that problem. As life goes on, as hormones change, everything can shift. Plus, if you started doing a keto diet and you weren't doing it before, sometimes that can actually affect your overall tolerance or sensitivity to caffeine simply because things absorb easier. You don't have the starches in there, so factor that in. John May says, when I quit smoking, for some reason, I became more caffeine sensitive. I could drink 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, and now I have 1 cup of coffee and I feel wired and jittery and panicky at times. Why is this? Because nicotine works along similar yet very different pathways. The end result is still similar. We're still getting a dopamine response. So what's happening is you're not dulling out your dopamine receptors, your DR1 and DR2 dopamine receptors. So that dopaminergic response is chilling out a little bit. Normally, you'd have cigarette or vape or whatever, and you'd satisfy that dopamine urge, and then you'd go and you'd have some caffeine, and it wouldn't satisfy it that much. Now you're not smoking, and your dopamine sensitivity is much higher. So you have that caffeine and you're like, whoa, I'm gonna go out on a limb, but you probably feel jittery, but you probably feel like an overwhelming sense of positivity, like all is well in the world, right? That happens to me too. I'm very caffeine sensitive. So like I can be kind of depressed in the morning, which happens to me sometimes. I suffer from anxiety, always have. I wake up in the morning, the whole world's on my shoulders, emails, boom, boom, boom. Then I go and I have a cup of coffee or a cup of cold brew, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm happy, like I'm all good, all is good, everyone's good, I'm friends with everybody, but I'm also well aware and very self-aware that it's the caffeine talking and causing that dopamine response. So it could be the case with you. You're probably gonna recognize that too. It's those of us that are of addictive nature have to battle that, and unfortunately, it's just who we are, sometimes at the genetic level. Daniel says, wouldn't daily caffeine inevitably lead to caffeine tolerance? Yes, eventually it would. Tolerance is different from sensitivity though. Next video was turmeric benefits, fight headaches fast. I had to put this video up because I'm a big turmeric guy, always have been. Not a big fan of NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. I don't like ibuprofen, I don't like aspirin unless I need it. Turmeric is very powerful, and I'm gonna answer some questions here because there's some good ones that come up. And honestly, we have 2 patents in the world of turmeric, so I'm pretty well versed in this. Despite what some people and haters on the internet will say, I do have some experience in this world and the patenting process and what goes into actual absorption. Anyway, I don't want to go down that road, but Marianne Brown says, I add turmeric to my bulletproof coffee. Is it true that black pepper helps the turmeric work better? Black pepper does help turmeric absorb, but black pepper disarms the liver. So what happens is the liver normally breaks down turmeric, and it breaks it down so much you're not getting the active curcuminoids that you need to actually have the positive anti-inflammatory effect. So black pepper turns off that process of the liver so that the turmeric can be absorbed and the curcuminoids can be used. However, it disarms the liver, which means that anything else you're taking at that point in time, your liver is temporarily on standby. You don't want that to happen. You want your liver to be armed. So I'm not a fan of black pepper. Honestly, this isn't just a plug, but I mean, my patent is on delivery. So we have proven 20x, but through clinical studies, realistically more like 185x increase in overall absorption of turmeric by combining it with fulvic acid, but also by using what's called receptor cell-mediated endocytosis and a nanoparticulation of vitamin E phosphatidyl chloride bond. So basically, we've found a way to make a water-soluble vitamin fat-soluble so it absorbs. You've probably seen my ads around, but I'm not really front-facing on that. The company is called Pura Thrive. Joey Fallis says, Thomas, if using the actual raw turmeric root Is fat still needed? And does adding black pepper, as always recommended, aid at all? Yeah, I like this one mentioned raw turmeric because you get the full spectrum turmeric and there's a bunch of other benefits outside of just the curcuminoids. Raw turmeric is great. Yes, you do need some fat. You could use black pepper. I would recommend using some fulvic acid instead. It's just safer. Just buy fulvic acid. Or, I mean, honestly, if you wanted to, you could always try Pure Thrive too. Christine Cornish says, do these also affect C-reactive protein? Yes, turmeric very much so has a powerful effect on nuclear factor kappa B, tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 6, interleukin 1, interleukin 1 beta, all those inflammatory cytokines, cyclooxygenase 1, cyclooxygenase enzyme 2, C-reactive protein, a bunch of these different ones. Very, very powerful. 2,000 clinical studies plus on turmeric. So yeah, C-reactive protein, very much so. Tony Rico says, I was using turmeric daily, then I read that it may be too much. Can this be taken daily? Any side effects? There's going to be side effects with everything, and there's good and bad. So honestly, I'm a fan of taking it daily. Do your own due diligence there. Next video, why you weight rebound after a diet, fat regain. Okay, this was a cool video talking about how like a lot of times when you lose weight and then you go off of your diet, you gain it back faster and more aggressively, sometimes even more. And it all has to do with how fat cells rebound. So if you're interested in this, go check that full video out. Jacques Lefebvre says, so you can lose those new fat cells or are you stuck with them forever? Wondering, because that's not the first time I rebound. Yeah, so those, as far as I'm concerned, like those fat cells don't ever really go away unless you're doing some aggressive fasting. The jury is still out on that, but the fact is they probably will rebound at least until you mitigate that rebound a little bit. So Davis AJ says, can fasting autophagy reset the number of fat cells you have? Early research is pointing towards yes, but it's pretty inconclusive. JP Kokomer says, hey Thomas, great video as always. My question is there a way to destroy or kill fat cells? So we understand they grow, shrink, and multiply, but can we get rid of them? Again, fasting, autophagy may very well do that. Apoptosis is really more what we want to trigger, which is the programmed cellular death. Autophagy is where we're like recycling the components of a cell, not necessarily a full cell. Apoptosis is the pre-programmed cellular death. We actually kind of want that to happen at an advanced stage, but getting that to happen at an advanced stage without having other cells die too is difficult. First Last says, so if you stayed lean in an autophagy for long enough, would you get rid of some of those extra fat cells? Perhaps. A lot of the same kind of question. Okay, the next video was 4 ways to boost energy and ATP that everyone ignores. I was surprised that this video took off. It has a lot of views on it, and my team and I were talking like, all right, this is probably a video that's just gonna be filler material. Like there's only gonna be a few people that actually wanna see this video because no one wants to know about energy and ATP. It's kind of boring. Wrong. Okay, a lot of people liked this video. Maybe it was just the thumbnail, I don't know. But either way, it was interesting. I was talking about how the ATP synthesis process works and how ATP coupling works and mitochondrial density. And anyway, very, very interesting video if you're looking to get more energy in the gym overall. So check that one out. Here's some questions. Here's a name that I can't pronounce because it's symbols from a different country. Is intensity of cardio important for mitochondrial efficiency? Would a long walk be as useful as a sprint, for example? So you want to be in the realm of like 60 to 70% max heart rate. High intensity doesn't change much in the way of mitochondrial efficiency or density, more so as like longer bouts of just mid-range cardio. Jeremiah Mullen says, thanks for the video, Thomas. This was perfectly timed for me as my energy levels have been low lately, probably due to stress. I have a question though. Is there any way to get dietary nitrates other than beet juice? I'm getting back to a strict keto diet, been mixed for a couple months, and I don't want to spike my carbs. Thanks again, keep the videos coming. Get beetroot powder, man. Beetroot powder, you're gonna get the highest degree of nitrates and it's got all the sugar removed out of it. It's just beetroot powder. You're looking like a couple grams of carbs, most of it's fiber. Jesse Anderson says, best time of day to take cordyceps and how often? Cordyceps will light you up. So honestly, I've taken cordyceps in the evening time and although I sleep, I end up with trippy dreams where I feel like I'm not getting that good of a sleep. Maybe I am. So if you want lucid, weird dreams, take cordyceps before bed. It's kind of fun. But most of the time, take it in the morning, early afternoon, even in mid-afternoon. Just don't take it at night. It's good pretty much any time. Paulo Vitor Martin says, would citrulline malate do the trick? Citrulline malate is great, okay, but citrulline malate converts to L-arginine within the body. That's going to get you more of a blood flow response. So not the same as ATP, but still good. MR Barakat says, does coenzyme Q10 create more energy? Yes, it improves the mitochondrial efficiency and it works at the ATP level inside the mitochondria. So yes, CoQ10 is one of my go-tos. If I ever write custom plans for anyone or anything like that, usually CoQ10 is on the list of supplements that I provide. So that's it. That's all there is to it for this one. So make sure you're posting comments down below and please make sure you're keeping it locked in on all my videos. We're posting videos pretty much every single day at 7 a.m. So if you just can, hop on there, watch the video, learn something, apply it to your life, and rock on. See you guys soon.